Hello, hello, hello again. It's Jay Williams and the Cancer Sucks podcast. And of course, with me is our wonderful host, Adrian Finch. Adrian, how are you?
Hello. I'm doing great. I'm so happy we're back. How are you doing today?
I am actually doing great, all things considered. So what are we going to be talking about today?
Today's episode is actually a really fun, really special one because we did something a little bit different today. So this episode is actually going to have live footage from the Pan-Can Walk and Relay for Life, which are both two recent events that I sadly was too sick with a cold to actually go to. I was so bummed, but Jay and Parker and his family went, and they'll talk about all that in a second. So it's really cool that we can kind of take you along, and that'll be a great episode. But before we get fully into that and some of the background on these two events, Jay, it's been a minute since we've chatted and gotten like a live medical update. So I would love to hear just what's been going on in the last couple weeks for you medically.
Oh, I appreciate that, Adrian. Well, as you know, I mean, it is a journey. And as we've talked about on this show, and just when you think you've got it figured out, cancer goes, no, you don't. And you take a hard right or a hard left. And so, you know, when we last spoke, I had gone, it was about 8 weeks without chemo because I was having a lot of trouble getting things to really just calm down with my blood. So hemoglobin levels were off, red blood cell counts were off. And from a cancer perspective, it's very dangerous when you get chemo then because chemo actually even takes it down further. They have some safety thresholds. And as we've talked about before, every week that you go in or whatever your schedule is for infusion, you always start with labs because, and then you meet with your doctor, and then the doctor will decide if it's safe for you to actually get chemo that week. So I was a little concerned, and I think my concerns were definitely justified when we looked at our tumor marker reading that came back. So what the tumor marker reading is for pancreatic cancer is it measures the presence of pancreatic cancer cells within your body. And it really ranges differently for everyone. They typically like to have you below 30, I believe, somewhere in that neighborhood. I had been running, 85, 90, as high as, I think, 202. This time it was 335.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
335.
Yeah.
Ooh,
and really,
okay.
It kind of makes sense because, right, you know, the chemo is what keeps this in check. It's what keeps the cells and the tumor from hopefully growing. And of course, I hadn't been able to do that. The doctors are monitoring that, and that's just one of many markers they use. It's not like, oh my gosh, this is the worst news ever. It's just another indication that yes, the cancer is growing again. We're gonna fix that. I'm on a new regimen of chemo now. I just this past Monday, so 5 days ago, had my second go around. The first week was a little rough because I hadn't had it for 8 weeks, and you know it hits you pretty hard when you get back into it. Plus, these are chemo drugs that I had initially when I was first diagnosed, but that was back in 2023, so I hadn't had these drugs since then. The idea is, you know, cancer cells are really smart. They adapt, and they know when they're being attacked. And so eventually they adapt to the chemo, which is why at a certain point chemo becomes ineffective. And fortunately, there are other options and other chemos to go with. So the hope now is, even though this regimen was ultimately deemed ineffective at a certain point in 2023 because it adapted, but then it adapted to the new regimen. So now we're going to go back and fool it again with the other one. So it's just kind of this ongoing battle. And so we'll know for sure in about another 3 weeks what kind of response we're getting. I'll have another CT scan in June, and that will kind of indicate to us is it really being effective? Is it being somewhat effective, or is it not being effective at all? So, you know, we'll see. There's a lot of wait and see. That's where a lot of the anxiety comes into, of course, you know, and I just stay positive because honestly, it's out of my control. You know, I'm just trying to focus on myself, keeping myself as healthy as possible between everything, which is also very important. That's kind of the update with City of Hope. And Parker did post a video on Instagram because I know we've talked about my chemo to go a lot. Because I do get a chemo to go. So I get 2 infusions at City of Hope and then one that comes with me in a pump that is distributed over a period of 48 hours. And then, of course, I have to get the pump taken off. So we actually show you what that process looks like, which is kind of fun. So we shot that video yesterday, so be sure to check that out on the Cancer Sucks Instagram page.
Yeah,
really a lot going on. So later on today, we have a follow-up with one of the doctors at Cedars-Sinai who specializes in pancreatic cancers where arteries are involved, which is what I'm dealing with, which is why it's inoperable. And he feels that they could have some possible options for me. So we're going to talk those through, which I'm actually very excited about. So,
that's very exciting.
Yes, it is. And so the next podcast, we'll have an update on that. And then I was actually speaking to my original surgeon that did the Whipple procedure on me, Dr. Chody, at Banner MD Anderson in Phoenix. And I'm actually going to go out to Phoenix in a couple of weeks and do a follow-up with him and kind of walk him through everything that's been suggested, because I have a high level confidence in him, and I want to kind of pick his brain and see what he's thinking at this point. And again, as we've said, there's just so many great cancer facilities in this country, and between MD Anderson and City of Hope and USC and UCLA, here in Southern California, and then Sloan Kettering in New York, and I'm missing several others. By no means do I mean anything by that, but there are some really great cancer facilities that are out there that really just focus on this. And so I feel like I'm in very capable hands, which I'm very thankful for. We'll continue, obviously, to keep everybody updated on that. And then, real quick funny story. So as I was leaving my appointment with my oncologist to head up to the infusion floor, Kathy and I are walking out, and I just hear this voice behind me going, "Cancer sucks, guy." And I'm like,
what?
Somebody actually knows I'm the Cancer Sucks guy. And I turned around and was like, yes. And turns out he is a patient of the same oncologist that I'm with. He was just diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer a little less than a year ago. And he was aware of the podcast and wanted to talk to me about something that he had did. And Adrian, I was blown away when he told me what he had done. And in fact, we are going to have him on a future episode of the Cancer Sucks podcast.
We have
to. Let me tell you, I'm gonna, as we call it in the business, do a little tease here.
Yeah, okay. Give it to me.
He basically took all of his medical information. And so when you're going through this, and obviously you're seeing a lot of doctors, you're getting a lot of scans, you're doing MRIs, you're doing blood tests. He took all that information. And we're talking, in his case, about a year's worth. In my case, I have over 3 years worth. And he loaded this into a chat GPT.
I knew you were going to say that. He
created his very own personalized AI oncologist.
Whoa.
Who is specifically designed for his case, because as we always say, no two cancers are alike, and yes, they do the percentages, but how your body reacts is very different than someone else's body. So what he's now created is his own individual oncologist that's adapted to what he has, and he has the ability then to go in and say, all right, well, I want the top doctors at Sloan Kettering, City of Hope, and MD Anderson to sit in a conference room and discuss my case. I want to see the conversations that's happening. I want to see what they're talking about. And I want to see what their recommendations are based on my result. And so what it really has done, and again, I don't want anyone to think he's replacing his not that at all. What it's doing is it's helping educate him a little more to be able to ask more insightful questions. Because obviously when you're not a doctor, you don't know what you don't know. So there could be valuable questions that you need to ask, but you're not a doctor, so how are you going to know these things? And that's where the technology can really come in and help out a lot with that. So I needless to say, was blown away. And by the way, his name is Angel. So tell me, that in itself is like, wow.
I love that.
He's a single father. He's an incredible, inspirational guy. I really enjoyed speaking with him. He's got the best attitude. As we always talk about, and I know everyone has heard this before, cancer, whatever you have to be your own advocate. And that's not, again, a knock on any of the doctors, but you got to remember they're seeing lots and lots of patients every single day. And they're going to just give you what they've got to give you. And if you're not asking other questions, then they're not going to give you other answers. And so they'll give you the minimum, or they'll dive in as deep as you want to go. I mean, my doctors are always great. Every visit I have, it's always like, do you have any more questions? What can we help you with? You know, is there anything you want to know? They're never like rushing out of the room. They're always like, are you sure you have all your questions answered? And that's exactly what you want. And so by being your own advocate, what you're doing is you're just educating yourself in terms of what are some of the latest clinical trials that are out there? What are some of the drugs that are very close to FDA approval? Or maybe they're working on something that, you know, could really help extend your life a little bit. All those things are kind of on you, you know, because again, they know, but they also are seeing a lot of other patients and dealing with a lot of other stuff. And that's where the caregivers, in my case, Kathy, my angel, is so wonderful, because she's doing all this research. She knows, she's on top of this stuff, because as a patient, it can become very, very overwhelming, because you're just trying to focus on you, trying to feel better. And the last thing you want to think about is, oh my gosh, more doctors, more this, more testing. And so it's helpful when you have somebody that can help like that. But I think we are both going to do the dive into AI.
All right.
In the coming weeks. Now, again, Angel has been battling this for a little less than a year. I've been battling this 3 years. So I don't even want to think about the volumes of medical
you
records.
have a lot.
I have. But I really... And like I said, we'll get Angel on here to talk about it, because I really, he deserves all the credit in the world for this. And it's really very smart what he's done to really make us all better advocates of our own health. And that's really what he's so passionate about. You know, he, like myself, just has this strong desire to keep living. He's got a lot to live for. He's got a beautiful daughter. And, you know, we all want to keep going.
Absolutely.
So it's nice when we can surround ourselves with like-minded people like that, and we can help each other. And again, it's the whole reason we're doing this podcast is to try and help others, and that's obviously very important. So good update this week. A lot happening as always, but happy to always report back. So thanks, Adrian.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for updating us. And Angel sounds like such a nice person. I can't wait to actually speak with him, and I definitely have a lot of questions right off the bat. I think it's so smart to utilize technology, and there's so many ways that we can just cut down the kind of time it can take to research, the logistics of organizing everything. And then, of course, my thing that I'm always skeptical of is just the accuracy of information, and is it pulling the right stuff?
So
is it saying the right stuff? Which we can get all into with him, because I'm sure he's aware of that too. And I'm sure at the end of the day, like, it's not like he's taking this as absolute Bible facts, I'm sure, but he's having this like assistant basically to do a lot of the heavy lifting of doing kind of the math and the analyzing for him, which is so incredibly smart. So, oh my gosh, cannot wait to talk to him about that. That's awesome. That's incredible.
And I love that people are knowing me as the Cancer Sucks podcast guy.
Yeah,
That's
wait,
awesome.
can we circle back to that? We're going to have to circle back to that at a later date, because I have so many thoughts about that. You are famous already. Let's go. That is so cool. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Wow. This podcast is only going to reach more and more people, and I'm just so excited for the future of it.
Absolutely. And we're doing fun things. Like, look, I have a Cancer Sucks stress ball now. Now, let me tell you.
I love
this really comes in handy when you're in those doctor visits and you're hearing things you don't really want to hear. So you could just start working it, or you're getting the chemo, start working it, you know.
You squeeze it when cancer sucks, which is a lot. So you squeeze it a lot.
Which is a lot. It started out the size of a basketball. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It has squoze down to such a small size. Oh man. Well, thanks again for your updates.
Absolutely.
My only update on that note is actually just want to share very, very briefly. One of my best friends in the world, her mother's best friend in the world, just recently was diagnosed also with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, which is so heartbreaking, devastating, especially just when you hear of the cases where maybe it wasn't found out in the same way yours was, and maybe it's a little bit quicker of a timeline to get going on the treatment, and it's just so heartbreaking. But the silver lining in it was that I felt so aware and educated and kind of like helpful to her, and even just talking to my friend, and like texting her mom. It felt so good to be able to say like, hey, look, we have this podcast now, and maybe it's too much right now, maybe not, but I want to send you some bracelets. I want to send you the links. I just want you to know that we're all here. There are other people going through this.
Absolutely.
So that felt good, you know, in such a terrible piece of news that you're hearing about someone you know. It did feel really good to be able to kind of provide something like that and just say, hey, we're here and like this can be helpful to you and do it at your own pace, but like we're here and we're repping and we got you and you're not alone. So that was a very touching like situation.
And I got to tell you, Adrian, it is really kind of the perfect way for us to segue into PanCan and Relay for Life, because I find a lot of inspiration. Now, this is the third year, so for those of you that don't know, I mean, and I'm sure you're aware, you know, there are so many different kinds of cancers, sadly. You know, a lot of different organizations to support each kinds of those cancers, which is also great because, you know, you want to support other people that are going through what you're going through, of course. Support in general, just anyone that's going through any kind of cancer, whatever it ultimately might be, because in reality cancer spreads and it can, you know, spread into other parts of the body and morph into other things, so you want to do your best to help. I can tell you I started doing this 3 years ago, just right when I was first diagnosed, and I didn't know kind of how I was going to feel about this and being around these people. And there are aspects that can be a little depressing because there are people no longer with us that were there, but their family and friends are there for their memory, which I think is a wonderful thing to keep them first and foremost, you know, top of mind. But then there's so many survivors, and it seems like every year there's more survivors.
Yeah.
You know, they were talking at the start, and we'll talk a little bit about what this whole event is, but they were saying that, you know, we're entering into a time period right now as it relates to pancreatic cancer where there are so many breakthroughs that are happening on a daily basis that it used to be when you had a stage 4, you know, pancreatic cancer diagnosis, it was not good at all. I mean, very, very few people survive. And look, let's be honest, it's still a terrible percentage. I think it's like 13% survive, you know, 5 years, which is a terrible percentage. And we got to do something about that. And they are, by the way. And again, it's individual. It's not one size fits all. So people react differently to the medications and everything else, but there are just a lot of work being done with the genetics of these tumor makeups and how they're treated and the new medications. And so, you know, what I would say to your friend's mother, and I'm so sorry they're having to go through this, but I would say rather than being diagnosed 3 years ago, you're in a much better time to be diagnosed with this disease if you're going to be, because of the breakthroughs that they're having. And really, you know, play this game of, if we can slow it down enough, we can stay in the game long enough that other cures and other options become available. And that's really what it's about. You know, it's not necessarily about, well, I just need to be cancer-free tomorrow. It's like, well, that may not happen. However, if you can slow it down, then who knows what can happen, because there's a lot of these breakthroughs that are really, really happening, which I'm thankful for. Now, in the case of PanCan, which is part of a larger organization that really supports pancreatic cancer patients, which is great because they not only help with fundraising, but they'll do regular calls with you and help educate you. They'll talk to you about the latest clinical trials. They do virtual summits where you can learn more about pancreatic cancer. And they're really a fantastic organization, and I've been so impressed by them since I was first exposed to them about 3 years ago. But what's great about the PanCan Walk is they do this annually, and it happens in cities across the U.S. on the same day, which is kind of cool. Now, I will say I'm a little biased because L.A. always leads when it comes to the fundraising, which is great. Now, we have a few more people out here, but it's a beautiful walk because we get to walk by the Santa Monica Pier, which is fantastic. We're going to have Parker come in here in a moment and tell you a little more about what that was like. But what I appreciate about that is this year alone, they raised over $1.3 million just in Los Angeles.
Wow.
With the Cancer Walk.
Which
is fantastic.
Wild. That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
Led the country once again. They were originally hoping to get about 1.2, I believe. They were over 1.3 million. So another very successful fundraising event. They've set up sort of the next decade of fundraising in terms of what they want to be able to raise to really work on getting that percentage to go up in terms of the survivor rate, which I'm also very excited about. And then the very next weekend was Relay for Life. So between the chemo and all the walking, I should be napping right now. That's what I should be doing.
You really should be napping right now. You better be after this.
By the way, Relay for Life, I got this really cool survivor medal, which I love very much. And Kathy got a caregiver medal. Now, what's cool, and I'll give you a little tease in the video, this was not far away from May the 4th. So I actually was given this medal by a stormtrooper, believe it or not.
Wait, I saw that on Instagram. That is so fitting. That is so incredible.
Right.
Love that.
And only at Relay for Life could the stormtrooper drop an extra medal. I picked it up. I didn't really know what to do with. And I walked a few more feet and was like, oh, Han Solo's here. I'll just give it to Han. So I gave Han Solo the extra medal to pass out. So
wow. That
it was kind of wild.
Is something.
It was fun.
That's super fun.
But Relay for Life is a little different in that those events happen across the country throughout and Relay for Life is part of the American Cancer Society, which obviously supports many different types of cancers. And here in Santa Clarita alone, which is the area that I live in here in Southern California, they were able to raise $375,000, which is really phenomenal. And I got to tell you, my group really stepped up this year, Adrian. I'm so proud of all my LinkedIn folks, the Cancer Sucks podcast folks. I was able to raise $3,000 for each organization. And that really meant so much to me. It really did.
Wow, Jay, that's so... Last I heard it was at like 1,000. Like, that's amazing.
Exactly.
Wow.
So nearly $6,000
Incredible.
We were able to raise individually. And I want to thank everyone for that because that really does go towards not only cancer research, but really helping patients with information packets. The government is still very much giving money. It's never enough. But I will say, as of March of 2026, the federal government has provided about $7.3 billion in funding for cancer research. Now, that money is really going to the National Cancer Institute, which helps fund things like the American Cancer Society. But they're really involved in the kind of the hardcore cancer research where a lot of these individual fundraisers are to help the individual patients. They're all working together. But I would encourage anyone that could to, support these organizations because they are helping a lot of people. And as we talk about all the time, there's not a single person that cancer will not touch at some point in our lives, sadly. Yeah. Hopefully it's not, you individually, but chances are it'll be someone you love and care about or someone you know. It's just a good thing to help because you never know when, and I certainly can talk to this, you never know when you might be the person that needs that help. So absolutely. I'm very grateful and just really so humbled by that level of support that people have stepped up for me, and it means a great deal. And it's why I do this, because I want to help others as well and do whatever I can. I wish I had millions of dollars that I could just write checks to.
I know.
But I don't have that luxury, but I feel I can use my talents in other ways, just like we're doing here. And what you're taking your time to do this, Adrian, and Parker as well. And we're doing this for all the right reasons, which I'm so proud of. So I'm so thankful for that. So that's kind of the update, but now let's talk about the fun stuff that everyone's going to actually get to experience. So I'm going to move in Mr. Producer Extraordinaire, my son, Parker Williams, who just was running all over the place with his camera and his microphone and really did some fun stuff. So let's bring in Parker.
Let's bring him on.
Come on in, Parker. There we go. Through the magic of video podcasting, here we are.
There's Parker. Whoa!
This is.
How did he get there?
Hey,
it's amazing. He traveled so far.
Presto.
Well, hello, Parker. Thank you so much for joining us. You really did all the heavy lifting when it came to both of these events. I'm not surprised. So happy you were able to go. So sad I was able to miss it. But I would love to just hear, now that we have a little bit of a history on these two events, what can the listeners and the viewers expect out of this little episode? What was it like there? What was happening? What got filmed? But I mean, you don't have to give all of it away.
I'm talking big budgeted Hollywood blockbuster pan can footage. If you want to take an amateur take on it, basically. I'll just start off by saying, you know, every time I get to attend one of these events, you know, it's a very humbling experience, but I think it's a very important experience. You know, it really paints a picture about how important and fragile life really is. And so what I really wanted to do, because there's so many awesome, incredible just caretakers there, survivors, and I would love to have each and every single person come on to this podcast and share their story. That would take probably a million years though. So what I really wanted to do was, and you know, you kind of inspired me with this idea, Adrian, with one of your segments you used to do called Adrian in the Streets, where you would interview folks on the streets. And so I really took that and I wanted to put it for the Pan Can Walk and use it for one of the podcast episodes. So if you're watching and listening at the same time, you'll be able to really see what all was going on at the Pan Can Walk. You'll see all the different vendors that were there. I know the LA Kings were there. The Los Angeles Rams cheerleaders were there. And you had City of Hope, Cedars-Sinai. And also you'll get to see some footage of us on the actual walk itself. And you'll see me doing some interviews with folks who are doing the walk along, and me running up like a crazy person, just being like, hey, can I interview you? I'm with the Cancer Sucks podcast. Felt like a KTLA news reporter. But yeah, and if you're listening, you know, you'll still be able to hear all about the incredible stories that you hear from just your regular everyday person, you know. A lot of folks were there walking in honor of someone who they had lost. There were folks there who were walking currently battling cancer, like him. And it's just, I think it, like I said, it really paints a picture of how fragile life can be, but also how important it is to not only talk about what is going on, but to share it with a community, and such a powerful community that is. And so, yeah, that's what I ended up doing. I got lots of interviews coming your way. I got lots of, just lots of fun and inspiring stories, and I got to meet some pretty incredible people.
Wow.
So
wow,
that was
great. Yeah, that was such an amazing explanation. Thank you for sharing that. I haven't even seen it yet, and I feel like I'm right there on the scene. And just to clarify, everyone who's listening right now, if you aren't sure what we mean by viewing or listening, the podcast shows up as a video on both Spotify and YouTube. So if you feel like switching over to one of those platforms right now for this episode to see the video from this, go right ahead. If you're on a listening only platform like Apple Music or Amazon, no worries, stay there. Just so that you know, as a reminder, we do record the video for all of these conversations. Usually we're just sitting in our homes and chatting with each other. But again, if you prefer video, you can always go to Spodcast. So again, if you prefer video, you can always go over to either Spotify or YouTube. If not, stick to your other platforms. But yeah, without further ado, thank you so much for the queue up. I think this is going to be an incredible, special, awesome episode. I'm so happy you guys documented it, and I'm definitely going to be there the next time. But without further ado, let's roll the episode.
Roll it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pan Can 2026 Santa Monica. I'm going to be walking you through just about everything that we saw here. There we are talking to KTLA. You can see the massive crowds that were here. And then we got to check out the Survivor booth. The LA Kings booth was really cool. I missed my puck shot. My dad was a little closer. And here I am spreading the word about the podcast to the LA Rams cheerleaders.
This is a pancreas. This is about how much is left in mine.
Then we got to leave some positive messages on the Pan Can board. Now let's head over to Pan Can, Cleveland, Ohio. Here's the family and friends over in Cleveland, Ohio. It's just so awesome to know that states apart doesn't matter. We're a family and we're all in this fight together. It's really cool that this happened on the same day, so that while we were walking on the beaches of Santa Monica, they were walking on the streets of Cleveland, Ohio, making their way to the zoo and back. Love them all to death and miss them like crazy. Back in LA, you can see that our aerobics class has begun, and by that I mean our stretches. We were all doing some dance moves. You can see us doing the backstroke here, really warming up those muscles so that we can begin our 2+ mile walk. I like this one. Oof, oof. Then there came a moment to honor the survivors all on stage.
I know we got a bigger stage for this year, but I think we might need a bigger one for next year.
That's my dad.
3, 2, 1. Woo!
And the walk has officially begun. It's actually really nice weather out. Not too hot, not too cold.
All right, guys, what are we doing?
Walking for Pan Can!
Woo!
And here we are walking with our good friend Greg, and you can see just how massive the crowd is. But let's go ahead and dive into the interviews. All right, so here we are back at the Pan Can Walk. Got some two lovely ladies over here who are going to tell us a little bit of who they're walking for today. So hello there.
Hi, my name's Emma. I'm walking for our dad. This is Summer. So when I was 19, he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I was his primary caregiver for the 8 months that he battled it. And so we've been walking for him since 2019. We've been to Washington, D.C. to advocate with PanCan for Congress since 2018, about 6 weeks after he passed. So we love PanCan, and we're always here to just be loud about how it is. And bring awareness.
Very much so. So now I'm going to ask you a trivia question for the both of you, so you can potentially win a nice exclusive Cancer Sucks podcast bracelet here. So what is the #1 overall opinion around the entire world about cancer?
1, 2, 3. Cancer sucks.
Yes, it does. And congratulations. Here is your bracelet. And be sure to check us out. We're available wherever you listen to your podcast. All right?
Awesome.
So thank you so much for sharing your story.
And keep fighting.
Keep fighting. All right, so we're here in Santa Monica at the Pan Can Walk, and we have a survivor here. Hello, nice to meet you. What's your name, sir?
Walter A. Howard.
Walter, it's very nice to meet you. And how long were you battling pancreatic cancer for?
About a year.
About a year?
About a year. I had surgery in 2023.
Amazing.
Diagnosed in 2022.
Amazing. And you are now since pancreatic cancer free.
Yes.
Congratulations, congratulations.
September will be 3 years.
That is incredible. Well, congratulations. Way to keep up the fight. And I'll go ahead and give you a wristband here.
Oh, thank you.
And be sure to listen to the Cancer Sucks podcast. All right,
Okay.
folks? Would you like a wristband as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello.
Hey, hello. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So welcome on to the podcast here. Thanks for stopping by. Got your bracelet over there. Just wanted to ask you, what is it that you're doing here today and some of your work?
Yeah, I'm working on pancreatic cancer research in Shirasai Hospital.
Awesome.
Yeah. My specialization is pancreatic cancer.
Awesome. Way
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Way
Thank you so
cool.
much. Yes.
Yeah, and you're out here walking, supporting the cause and all.
Yeah.
Awesome. Have you been having a lot of success with your research?
Yeah, now ongoing now.
Ongoing now?
Yeah.
Well, that is super incredible. Thank you so much,
you
and
so much.
continue the research,
Yeah.
all right?
Thank you so
Thank you.
What is your name?
Takeshi from Japan.
All right, so we're out here walking in Santa Monica at the Pan Can Walk, and wanted to ask the both of you, who is it that you're walking for today?
I'm walking for Kaylin Dinwiddie.
Ellen Denwood.
Same here.
Same with you? Awesome. So, well, thank you so much for coming out and walking. Showing your support is always so big for caregivers and to help those who are going through this disease. And I do have 2 bracelets for each of you. So be sure to tune in to the Cancer Sucks podcast, available on all platforms that you listen to your podcast on. Yeah. All right, so I'm here with Eddie and the team here for the Pan Can Walk. And Eddie, what is it that y'all are doing here today?
We're walking for my mom. She is 8 years yesterday from stage 4 pancreatic cancer diagnosis, and we're doing a great job of just like always continue to have good spirits for her.
Absolutely.
And we're very proud of all she's done for us, and she's impacted everybody in our life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that is absolutely incredible. 8 years. Incredible. Well, glad you guys are all walking. Hello! The star of the show! Hello! I'm with the Cancer Sucks podcast. Thank you for joining on here. He was just telling me a little bit as to why you guys are all out here walking and everything. Is there any words of advice that you would like to share by chance with everyone? Or
Oh, just be positive.
Be positive.
And always seek second opinions.
yes.
Advocate for your health care.
Absolutely.
That's-
Fantastic advice. Well, awesome. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your walk here. And I have some wristbands for you as well. All right. I'm here with the legendary Greg Catano at the Pan Can Walk here in Santa Monica. And Greg, welcome. Hello. Good to see you,
Good
bud.
to see you, Parker.
Been great seeing you out here walking around supporting the cause. Who is it that you're here walking for today?
You know, walking here for your dad and one of my dear friends, Jay Williams. It's a dear friend of mine, and in addition, my girlfriend. It's not pancreatic cancer, but my girlfriend has cancer, net cancer, neuroendocrine tumor cancer.
Wow.
And then I had a best friend who passed away from cancer many years ago. Something that I would always support, and the more people that are close to me that are going through cancer and the challenges and the successes, I hope to be right there alongside with them.
All we could ever do is give our overwhelming support. I know it can be very challenging feeling helpless, but at the end of the day, caregivers give so much help and support. And you even being out here showing the support goes
a long way. So thank you for being here. And I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
It's a trivia question. Are you up for trivia?
Of course.
All right. Let's see how smart you are. What is the overwhelming opinion about cancer around the entire world?
Cancer sucks.
That is the correct answer. So here you go. You get yourself an official Cancer Sucks podcast bracelet. Be sure to tune in. Thanks for coming out and showing the vlog. And be sure to check out the Cancer Sucks podcast.
Okay, I love that. Hello, welcome back, everyone.
Fun.
That was so fun.
Had my walking
Thank you
shoes
so
on
much
and
for
everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for documenting that. What a fun time. So, all right. So that was PanCan, and now we want to pivot over for the remainder of this episode towards Relay for Life. So, as you heard, a little bit of the history about it, and now Parker, would you like to tell us what this little segment of the episode will be like? What was Relay for Life like?
Yeah, so Relay for Life and PanCan, they have a lot of similarities, but luckily for us, Relay for Life happened on May the 4th be with you. So there's a whole lot of a Star Wars theme happening there. And as this man mentioned here, there was a stormtrooper rewarding him, which was pretty funny. I also joined up, for those of you who are watching this, you'll see that I'm in my pajamas in some of these videos, and that is because I was up until about 3:45 a.m. working, and I turned around, got about 3 to 4 hours of sleep, and came straight to the walk for Relay for Life. So ignore my
job,
outfit.
Parker.
But it was really, it was really amazing, again, as all these events and walks are. But what was really cool about this one was we had signage posted around the vicinity of the walk that were of our family members who we have unfortunately lost to cancer. So we had my uncle on there, we had my aunt who was my godmother, my grandma and grandpa, and then we were able to make a little rock for our dogs who we also lost to cancer. So it was
That's special.
it's just a very, very special and touching thing. And just being able to walk around and see that actually posted up, because I didn't know that was going to be a thing. And as I got closer to one of the vendors, which is really cool, it was a pirate vendor, and in front of him, I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, that picture of that man looks a lot like my grandpa. And then I got closer and I was like, that is my grandpa William.
Oh my
what
gosh.
in the world?
How special. That's
I was
so
like,
fun.
huh? And then as we continue, I
love
saw my
that.
grandma and so forth. So
That's so special.
It was really cool. And then it was a little smaller than PanCan, but it definitely felt like it had a very, very strong personal community feel to it. I would say, granted, the fact like it's taking place in the town that I grew up in.
Right.
And I see so many familiar faces there as well. And again, seeing the pictures of, our loved ones who have lost to cancer, it just was really, it was a little extra dosage of being special.
It's really a great event, and it takes place over a period of 12 hours. So it starts at 9 a.m. and ends at 9 p.m. And what they do in the evening is they do a beautiful slideshow where people upload their slides of people that have been lost, loved ones that have been lost, loved ones that are battling cancer. And then they have these luminary bags that light up. So as you're walking around at night, the bags are all lit up. And it's just a really nice tribute. So again, two different types of events, but with very much the same goal in mind for awareness and fundraising, and it was just really great. And so we didn't really take the time to do a lot of interviews for Relay for Life. It's more just to give you a chance to see the ambience. So for those of you that, again, are just listening to audio, no problem. Parker's going to narrate in terms of what you're ultimately seeing. And then for those of you that have the video, you'll be able to kind of see yourself there as if you were at Relay for Life as well. But two incredibly inspiring back-to-back weekends. And, you need that every now and then. You need that inspiration. And so it was great to be around a lot of like-minded people. And again, I got my Stormtrooper Survival Medal, which I love. So I'll hold on to that and cherish that. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at Relay for Life. So roll them.
Let's do it.
Welcome, everyone, to Relay for Life in Santa Clarita. Or shall I say, Luke, welcome to Relay for Life in Santa Clarita. For those wondering, this walk landed on May the 4th be with you. So as we continue our walk around here, you'll be seeing a lot of familiar Star Wars faces. I want to give a quick shout out to Gary the Stormtrooper for dropping the medallion that he was giving to my dad. So what exactly is this event? I'm glad you asked. This is Relay for Life in Santa Clarita, California. And the walk that we do is more so a victory lap around the track. We walk with all the survivors, and we also walk to remember those who we have unfortunately lost to this terrible disease. And here are some images of family members we have lost. This is my Auntie Patty, my godmother. And this is my Grandma Williams. This is my Grandpa Williams. And this is my Uncle Rick. We miss and love y'all so much, but we know you're never far away. Here's a really cool fact for you. There are actually several Relay for Life events that happen throughout the entire country, throughout the entire year. And with Relay for Life, you get to assemble your own teams. That's right, the Avengers are coming to kick some serious cancer butt. But within these teams, the goal is to raise as much money as you can for cancer research. Check out my dad running down the side of this track, giving hundreds of high fives to all the bystanders. He's like a rock star. And here we are coming to the finish line to finish out just our first lap. But now the next lap we get to really explore all the different vendors that they have set up. But first, a quick picture with Gary the Stormtrooper.
There's so much exciting research and cures going on now. You all see the news about pancreatic cancer cures that are going on now? We just got $1 million for City of Hope to get a new TrueBeam Varian machine, which is going to help thousands and thousands of people in our local community.
Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like some fantastic news. And here's my dad, of course, making it look easy to hit a bullseye at one of the games. So as we continue searching about all these different booths here, and my dad continues to win at about every game that he plays, I do want to make mention that in the evening they hold a very special luminary walk and slideshow to highlight those that we have lost over the years to cancer. And as we continue our walk here, we're at the UCLA booth and then walking over to the Survivor booth, and he's trying his luck at another spin the wheel, and of course he wins again. And he's entering some raffles here, and I can safely say he wants some more raffles. There's another wheel that he is currently spinning, and he wins again. This man can't be stopped, truthfully. He can't. And as we temporarily conclude for the Relay for Life event, we wanted to show off the puppers here who came in support, and this cute photo of my mom and dad. And my mom also made another rock for our dogs that we unfortunately have lost due to cancer. And here we are back at night for the special luminary walk, where all the bags are lit up with a bright, beautiful golden color with pictures of loved ones and the names of loved ones who have unfortunately passed on due to this deadly disease. However, it also shows that their light is still going and burning just as bright and beautiful as it ever was. And though they may not be with us in the physical world, we know for a fact that they are always by our side, always and forever.
All right. So, yeah, that was Relay for Life. A lot of fun.
Amazing.
And I just want to say that this man has the best of luck at raffles. He won at PanCan. And PanCan in Santa Monica, again, vastly bigger than Relay for Life. But he won a raffle there, which was funny because we were about to leave and they ended up announcing his number. And then at Relay for Life, he ended up winning again. I was like,
no way!
What in the world?
Wait, what? That's the best part of this whole thing. Yeah, I'm sorry.
He won.
He
won the raffles.
Oh my god, that's unbelievable.
I never win.
I should say, both organizations, they do a really great job at honoring survivors and caregivers. And with the survivors, you normally get a little something extra at each booth. A lot of times, booths will have raffles that they've gotten donations for, so they'll get extra raffle tickets, and then you could buy some as well. So I always love the raffle and supporting everyone. But yeah, I really rarely win anything. And then so this year, double prizes. I won this unbelievable tea set at the PanCan Walk, which with all these different exotic teas, which I love tea, so it's amazing. And then at Relay for Life, I won an LA Dodgers package. Unfortunately, it didn't include tickets, but I got a lot of merch.
That's so cool.
And
I
got my very own barbecue LA Dodgers spatula.
Oh my gosh.
So
okay,
that was
that's
cool.
next level. That's not even like, okay, you won 2 raffles. It's like you won 2 raffles and the prizes are actually cool. So good job, PanCan and Relay for Life. And good job, Jay, on having the best luck. That's wild. Well, you guys, I bet that kind of wraps up today's episode. I love that this was something different. I love that we were out in the field. And by we, I mean you. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for bringing us all along. I think it's so special to really see into these events. You can hear about them, you can hear the names, you can hear they're happening, but really being there or hearing about them, listening to people's stories, it really is so inspiring. And I know that's our only goal here, is to just continue to share people's stories and just help people understand that they're not alone and be a community and a support group. So thank you guys for doing that. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in once again. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will be back at you with another episode next week. We will also be starting our interviews, so get excited for that. We obviously did our caretaker little series. If you haven't listened to those are incredible. Jay's family members are all so sweet and positive and amazing and strong and just so inspiring. So definitely listen to those if you haven't already. And again, share the podcast if you can. It helps people. It helps us share this with more people. So we appreciate you guys so much, and we will catch you in the next episode. Thanks so much.
And say it with me, as we like to say, cancer sucks.
Cancer sucks.
But your life doesn't have to.
That's right. We'll see you next time.